Hey folks, Chef Cutting here. I have some great recipes for breakfast, but one of them that is the most unique is French toast. Now, I just want to get across the message of the story of French toast because French toast is not necessarily something that the rich and the over wealthy enjoy. Uh, in actuality, the French toast comes from, and of course, why aren't we calling it Spanish toast or English toast or Australian toast? The reason for that is because this originated in Europe, and a lot of the French cuisines that were out there all came from different venues of dining, from peasantry all the way up to the very wealthy and Renaissance-like. French toast actually started as a very, very wealthy thing to eat. Contrary to a lot of people's belief, the poor used it to actually salvage their bread. In fact, they called it pain perdu, which in French means lost bread. And they would take eggs just to add moisture back to the bread and obviously put a little protein into a meal that wouldn't be very hearty for anyone. But the wealthy would actually chop all the crusts off a finely fresh cooked white loaf and then soak it in a egg mixture and make a very, very fine breakfast meal out of it. So if you look in cookbooks that date back into the 1800s, French toast is mirrored in all the wealthy people's cookbooks. But the poor did a copycat version of that by salvaging whatever they had in the kitchen, because one of the things that was very plentiful in those days were eggs. So that kind of gives you the idea behind French toast. Now, I have a basic recipe that you can build on and add to anytime you like, and that recipe will play very slowly at the end of this video. But I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to show you just how beautiful French toast can be on your table. Take a look. So here we are. Cinnamon French toast, pressed with cinnamon. How about using your old French bread? You could make that into French toast. How about making rolls French bread with bananas and chocolate? Oh. And then how about using that sourdough loaf that you have sitting around? You can make that into French bread. This is a good one. Chocolate banana sandwich French bread. How about taking fresh seasonal berries and making that French bread? And of course, how about old-fashioned French bread? Let's get started, and I'm going to tell you how. Those are mouth-watering, right? And I can tell you that French toast versions are limitless. You can just come up with just amazing ideas with French toast. Stuff that I didn't just show you, stuffed French toast, you can do that. Just take a knife and go in through a real thick piece of brioche bread and stuff it that way and cook it. The sandwich technique that you saw is very simple. You just take the bread and you soak both sides of it, put the fruit on one side, put the other piece on top, and then cook it both sides and it will seal itself. You can put the berries that you saw on the top of that French toast inside in the same technique, and then you have a stuffed berried French toast. Like I said, the versions are absolutely and completely limitless. I've seen people use peanut butter and put the peanut butter on the French toast and then seal it with the egg and cook just one side of it until the peanut butter gets so hot that it's just starting to melt over the side of the French toast. That's another great variation. I can tell you we could probably be on this video all day about the different variations you can make. But that's the fun thing about cooking, isn't it? So you can figure out a variation for yourself, and you can make something that is just going to be so unique, people will say to you, how did you do that? And it's just a question of you sitting in your kitchen and playing around for the next 30 minutes with some of the ideas I showed you. So let me just give you the very, very simple recipe. I'm going to show it here to you now. I'm going to review it with you verbally, and then you'll see it run really slow at the end of the video. But this is the basic recipe I have for French toast. Okay, here we go, guys. This is the ingredients for the base recipe for French toast, and it's pretty universal. So let's get started. 4 eggs, 2/3 of a cup of milk, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 8 thick slices of 2-day-old bread, better that it's slightly stale, butter, and maple syrup for that sweet flavor that you'd like on that wonderful French toast. One point of reference, it's definitely better to have a slightly stale piece of bread because it's going to be a lot more porous and it's going to soak up the eggs a lot quicker, and it does add to the flavor profile. So if you've only got fresh bread, leave it out for the day if you know you're going to make French toast the next day so it gets kind of stale. And then I'm going to also include an optional recipe that gives you that fruit that you saw in one of those pictures. 2 teaspoons of freshly grated orange zest, a 1/4 cup of triple sec, and fresh berries. And I'll also note that if you want to toss the fresh berries in triple sec as well, you can do that once you finish frying your French toast in the pan. Use the same pan and deglaze it with some triple sec. Throw those berries in, and that's going to be awesome. So I'm going to talk about the method now. We're going to beat the eggs, milk, and cinnamon together. And if we're going to use the orange zest and triple sec, go ahead and include that in there and whip that up well. Pour it into a shallow bowl and then dip each slice of bread into the egg mixture, allowing the bread to soak up some of the mixture. At this time, melt some butter or some vegetable oil, whichever you prefer, over a large skillet at medium-high heat. And as many slices of bread that can fit in the skillet, that's going to be fine. Don't play with the food though. Leave it there until the toast points get really good on both sides, and you want the bread to actually look golden brown. You're going to serve it hot with butter and maple syrup. And if you want to take those fresh berries just as fresh and top them off like that, that's great. Or you can use that wonderful recipe I just gave you with the triple sec and tossing the berries. Bon appetit. Okay, so you've seen the versions. We've talked a little bit about the history. Now we've reviewed my base recipe for the actual French toast itself. So now what I want you to do is I want you to get in the kitchen, start trying to make your own versions of the French toast. Use this basic base recipe, add to it. You can put zest into it, you can put cinnamon, you could put maybe even some chopped jalapenos, make it a spicy French toast, or you could take some orange juice and infuse it with some orange juice, or infuse it with some triple sec, whichever way you want to go. There's so many different things you can do. But I definitely recommend that you stay the day in the kitchen and really have some fun with this one, because there's just so much direction you can take on this, and you're usually not going to go wrong. So I'm Chef Cutting. I have the video ending right now. You'll see the recipe go very slowly, so you have plenty of time to write it down. And feel free to let me know how the French toast went, and I look forward to hearing from you real soon. Take care.